While the world is on the crossroad, Papua New Guinea and the rest of the Pacific Island nations are sinking away. As someone here rightly puts it, reads, if common sense prevail, Papua New Guinea and other Pacific nations are feeling the effect of climate change. In fact, here's what happened in Papua New Guinea.
This month, the United Nations Development Programme traveled to the autonomous region of Bougainville, Milne Bay, and Morobe provinces to film the reality of climate change crisis. On Omot Island in the Morobe province, the islanders share the impacts of the shrinking islands due to the rising sea level.
Island belum mipalaya. Na wem kama plikikian. Na mipalaya tu klong bungi migogon itu kama big pala na. Mipala sila long em. Isa mipala pasin belum mipala island. Mipala kai peace by mipala stop. Na what peace by mipala kama.
In Milne Bay, Provincial Disaster Officer Stephen Tobesa said the province has over 600 small islands and atolls. He anticipates relocation for these islanders in the near future. The Carteret Islands in the autonomous region of Bougainville are among the first in the world to be relocated due to climate change. There were efforts in the 1980s to relocate the islanders to the mainland, but they keep returning to their island. Rose Saleh, who now lives in Tin Puts, shares how young Carteret Islanders should learn the customs and traditions of the Tin Puts.
All young Pablo Carteret relocate lo ya oli mas tingtingut na marit lo all mainland man simulan lo Tin Puts. Bala ken tingting lo raw simi plawo be club class.
All disaster coordinators in the three provinces echoed similar sentiments to work in solidarity to mitigate and reserve the effects of climate change.
The same with Kiribati.
A lot of times for us here in the Pacific, we can be very emotional, when we're thinking of the prospect of losing our homes, losing the history that comes with it. We can only go so far as an individual, but we can go further as a group.
La région Pacifique a besoin de cette Académie des sciences car elle est confrontée à des enjeux communs qui relèvent à la fois de géopolitique, qui relèvent également du changement climatique, auquel d'ailleurs, notamment par l'émission de gaz à effet de serre, elle contribue très peu, mais dont elle est la première victime.
Moana is our home. We are its custodians. The time for talking is over. Now is the time for action.
And the rest of our Pacific Islanders are also facing the same trend. Our Pacific Island leaders are so vocal on this.
This planet is destroyed. Doesn't matter what you say. Don't live in ignorance. Ask your own scientists.
However, how long must we wait? In the 80th United Nations General Assembly, here's what Donald Trump has to say with regard to the climate change agenda.
It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
With the war that is rampant in various parts of the world, and of course the rise of a new socio-economic security tie called the BRICS, that 11 members exceeding that of NATO are doing all they could to isolate themselves from US and its alliances, typically the NATO members, and perhaps to achieve de-dollarization and to eliminate imperialistic mind map with a new financial system. And sure enough, we'll share on a new architecture towards addressing climate change and other potential threats going forward, all under a new leadership. These are big talks. How can US sit back and watch in silence while allowing its long-standing dynasty to be dethroned by the new socio-economic security tie that is gradually sharpening its claws? Now, with the climate change agenda on the table under the existing architecture, do you think US has time for that? Especially taking into account their important role as the world policeman, going about mediating peace in the world where war and terror just kept on rising like mushrooms every now and then. Yet, having the domestic issues, religious and political divisions that flood the media like never before. Honestly, an overwhelmingly stressful load to carry. This brings us back to our question. How long must we wait for a new architecture that will address climate change? At the moment, US stance is pretty clear.
Climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
Which means even its alliances, most of which are G20 nations, have no choice but to comply. Look, the support is there. Or perhaps It's just awaiting a new architecture to come into play. But who's going to design it? And how long will it take? It's just a matter of time, and to my convictions, it's not too long. You may need to watch this video to know how manipulative is the current climate change mitigation architecture where that turns out being criticized all the while. Drop your comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace.